Hi, I'm Twyla from My Bilingual Life. I know that there are many new teachers to Outschool, and I'd like to share with you some ways that you can find out what kind of classes are being taught on Outschool. So once you get to Outschool, you can simply go to Find Classes. Now, if you or a child in your house has enrolled in a class, you may have an age range checked. So I would suggest turning this off. And then you're going to get a wider variety of classes. Okay, I don't worry about when the class is going to start when I'm doing my initial research, just getting some ideas. You can always change this if you'd like. You can also narrow down to an age or a subject or a format if you'd like. Right now, I'm just looking for ideas, so I'm not even going to think about that right now. However, I do suggest that you change this to most popular. And this will give you an idea of the classes that are being booked most often. So then we can scroll through here and just see some of the classes that are most popular right now on Outschool. As you can see, we've got video making, we've got multiplication, forensic science, Metrocraft, making a city with Minecraft, video game design, Spanish for young learners, college prep writing, ASL. There are all sorts of classes being taught on Outschool. I, for example, teach Spanish. So sometimes when I go through here, I go to and change the subject to world languages. And then I can get some more ideas of exactly what's being taught in Spanish. I could even type Spanish into the keyword search, but I like to keep it a little bit more broad. Also, I don't really want to do exactly what other Spanish teachers are doing. Honestly, I get some of my best inspiration from teachers from other languages. For example, here's sign language. Here's Spanish immersion, Hablemos de Frida. Oh, a summer camp for Let's Play games in German. That sounds like fun. Could I do something like that in Spanish? I'm not sure how to say this. It's in French. Zoo animals for young French beginners. That could be something that could work in Spanish too. So I like to look through and not really look at Spanish classes, so to speak. I will look and see and make sure that it's not oversaturated in a particular class, but I actually like to look at other languages and see what kind of things they're doing. This can work for any kind of class that you might be doing. Let's look at a couple of the other areas. Let's look at the arts. Now, I could look for arts and world languages. I like to narrow it down to just one group. So here's painting for kids, curious design and useless objects. This teacher did a great job with an interesting title. Marvel Comics in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Ooh, that would be something my son would love. Too bad he's too old to take classes on Outschool now. A military family ABC. Well, that looks like fun. So I like to just look and get ideas. Like I said, since I teach in Spanish, I could get an idea and I could do it completely in Spanish and it would be a completely different class. Now, I do highly recommend that you do not go in and you copy somebody's class completely. That is plagiarism. That's not cool. However, there's nothing wrong with getting a bit of an idea and making it your own. I usually don't go further than this, although I might look into the class. And I do not know Helen personally, but let's take a look at her Father's Day activity. I'm interested to see how she has this set up. We can see here that this teacher has 195 total reviews. This is a new class that she's teaching. And this is the part that I look at most. I like to look at the class duration. How many kids are in the class? So there's a max of 6 children. Ages 3 to 5 and $5 the total price per learner. So I like to look at this area. How many kids can you juggle in a class? I found that my sweet spot is right around 6 students. But I know, for example, I know of a teacher that does sign language, and since there's no noise in the class to speak of, she has 18 students in a class. I think that's great. I don't think that would work for language learning though, because I need the kids to be speaking. So this will show you the available times, and you can go on through the class description. I also like to look at the bottom at the more like this. This may bring me something completely different than what was on this original search. So I like to get down to the bottom and look at what other classes are coming up. So these are just some things that you might want to do to get an idea of what kind of classes are on Outschool. The kind of classes that I'm teaching, let me get to the page and I will show you the classes that I'm teaching. I certainly don't mind sharing. I have a beginning Spanish verb building class. I had a couple of students that were having particular trouble with verbs, so I created a class that is talking specifically about verbs. Beginning Spanish vocabulary. I have beginning Spanish for elementary students and beginning Spanish for young learners. I had a pre-K class that I was working with. Coco Trivia in English and Spanish, the full immersion Spanish version. Conversational Spanish, daily journaling. This is just something that I really like to do, and I hope to instill the habit into other children. El alfabeto. I'm still waiting on a listing. The listing is requested for this one. And I have my full immersion Spanish classes available as well. I have a whole series of those. I've also taught some classes about Edgar Allan Poe and Spanish show and tell. Animals, increase your Spanish animal vocabulary, colors and shapes, numbers, and I also do some private tutoring. I also have some shorter classes. Saludos is a very short class learning the Spanish greetings. I have a Stella Luna class that I did around Halloween time that was pretty popular. We're also doing some Spanish games, Boggle, Scattergories, and one of my classes that I do just because I love them is What Can Horses Do? A closer look at 3 equestrian disciplines. Oh, and the Spanish game of Would You Rather. So I have some classes that are just fun classes in Spanish for my Spanish immersion students, just to keep them speaking Spanish over the summer or whenever they need some extra practice. So these are the classes that I'm teaching. Now, when you're thinking about starting to teach on Outschool, I highly suggest that you choose a short one-time class. For example, one of the first classes that I started teaching was this one. It was a full immersion Spanish class for elementary students. Now, quickly, I learned that I could have all sorts of ability levels in this class. So from doing this class a few times with children from different levels, I decided this needs to be broken up a little bit. So that's where I got the idea to have different levels of my immersion classes. I still ask if the parents will to take this placement class so I kind of feel them out. We do kind of a generic activity. I ask them some questions. We may do a few would you rather questions, but mostly I'm just trying to get a feel of their conversation level in Spanish. See if they have their verbs and their verb tenses. This kind of gives me an idea of where to place them into my other classes. So I suggest that you get a short class. This class is a 30-minute class, and this gives the parents a chance to try you out without investing a whole lot of money in a long-term class. So I've had a lot of kids take this class, and it's been a lot of fun. So I suggest you do a short class, let parents get a taste of what you're like, your teaching style, how you relate to the children, and they'll keep coming back. Many of my classes are actually parent requests. My child is having trouble remembering vocabulary. My child is having trouble with reading comprehension. So then I just developed a class that would go along with that. I also do some private tutoring. I really enjoy my tutoring students. However, just remember that limits you to 1 student at a time. So that does take away for the amount that you can make on a particular class. However, another good thing about that is my tutoring students kind of become my guinea pigs for my new lessons. If I have a new lesson that I want to do in one of my ongoing classes or on one of my beginning classes, I'll use it with one of my tutoring students first to see if it works out and work out any of the kinks, because one-on-one, if they're not liking it, I'm going to know right away. So sometimes they get to be my guinea pigs for my new lessons that I'm creating. So I hope this helps a little bit and gets your brain thinking. Even if you see someone that has the same kind of class that you do, when we were looking on the search, we saw someone else that had an immersion class. And that's fine. There's actually room for all kinds of teachers on Outschool. Most of my classes are younger grades because I've been teaching mostly in first and second grade for the last 10 years. So I tend to stay with that lower age range, but you don't have to. You can branch out. But just remember that each teacher is different. And as long as you're doing a good job, the parents are going to keep coming back. So don't worry about being, oh, well, this is just another Spanish class. Yes, and there are some great Spanish teachers on Outschool. I've seen snippets of some of their classes, and they're great teachers. But I know that I've been a good teacher, and I know that I have my strengths, and my personality may mesh well with one student better than one of the other teachers. It doesn't mean either of us are a better teacher. It's just we're a better match for that student. So don't worry about competition. However, that being said, make sure that you're not copying someone's class. Make sure that you don't go in and follow, oh, this is what they're doing week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Outschool requires us that if you have a 4-week class or a multi-day class, that you tell what you're going to teach those days. Don't go in and just copy what they're going to do. You might get some ideas, but don't go and copy someone else's work. So that being said, there's plenty of room for everyone here on Outschool. I think you'll have a great experience. Have some fun with it. I started out with just a couple of classes. I got a couple of kids in the classes, and they were like, Miss Twyla, can we do something else that they wanted to learn about? So most of those times I developed those into a class. If I'm going to teach one kid, why not go ahead and open it up? Some of the classes have done very well, some of them not so much, and that's okay. If I have a class that's not going quite as well, that's just as important to know as when a class goes really well. Also, as far as feedback from the parents, the reviews, I love to get the good reviews. I also don't mind getting the not so good reviews if it's something that I can fix. Look at them as valid reasons. Don't just negate them, and don't feel bad. Don't let it ruin your day. See if there is something that you could change. Sometimes some of the reviews have given me ideas for another class or something different that I could do in the class. Or sometimes they also make me notice something that I need to make sure that I'm pointing out in my description that maybe I really didn't go into good enough detail on. So I hope you enjoy your time here at Outschool. I hope this gave you some ideas on what to do with setting up your classes. I will do another video on how to write a class description. But first, you need to get some ideas. So I hope this helps, and I hope to see you soon on Outschool. If you haven't already signed up, please use my referral link. Outschool has a great referral program, and it would be very helpful to me. And if you have any questions or need anything, please feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to help. Hope to see you soon. Goodbye.